about some carbon market issues, and I'm delighted to drill into those topics with a little more focus, particularly after hearing the exciting things that are being developed in China as a part of its participation in the Partnership for Market Readiness, and certainly we all know about the leadership that China has provided over the years in the CDM, and it's great to see such an effective chair of the CDM Executive Board from China. What I'm going to do is give a little bit of a global overview of what's been happening in markets, and I'll do this with a few PowerPoint slides that I hope will give you a sense of recent market developments, and then I'll talk about what we in the carbon market community are hoping to get out of the Doha talks. I am going to start though with just a brief introduction to IETA for anybody in the room who doesn't know who we are. The International Emissions Trading Association has been around since 1999. It really grew out of the Kyoto Protocol negotiations. We now represent about 150 companies that are active in emissions markets around the world. About half of those are companies that are directly covered by programs for being emitters in various types of businesses. The others are a mix of all of the financiers and service providers that help to make the markets work. This gives you just a brief sampling of who some of our leading members are, some of the leading names in carbon markets around the world. So this is a picture of the activities in global carbon markets over the last 5 years or so, and it comes out of the World Bank State and Trends of the Carbon Market Report this year. And it tells a story of quite a growth in a market that just 10 or 12 years ago would have been unimaginable to most. To see that the European Union would launch a program and that the CDM would come up and grow into such a good performer that it can produce credits at a vast scale has been a truly remarkable achievement. But there's been a lot of trouble in the markets of late because of the economic declines around the world that have influenced pricing, as well as the changes coming in the European Union where certain types of CDM credits will no longer be valid in the European Union's program after this year, or if they're not registered by this year, and also by other types of changes, including where new projects will come from. But there's good news on the horizon, and I'll talk about that in a moment. This is our version of cataloging some of the success of the CDM across various project types and from various jurisdictions. This shows the tremendous interest in the 2006 and 2007 period, driven primarily from purchasing in the European Union, but it's also been a notable performer in Japan and with a number of other individual markets like the Swiss market. Last year, we actually saw the market transact, as Connie Hedegaard talked about earlier, still at a fairly robust level. It's 176 million US dollars in transactions, but that big blue part of this chart is a focus on the EU allowance market. You'll notice that the amount of primary CDM project sales is quite low, though. And that's because of the changes driven by economic decline and changing circumstances in Europe. Nonetheless, the overall value of the market still grew last year as companies continued to trade amongst themselves. So that's sort of the history up until now, and it's been quite an exciting history to be a part of. Going forward, though, I think many of us in the market are recognizing that major changes are underway, and these are changes that are driven by new markets developing in a variety of countries around the world. Probably the biggest announcements this year that excited people in carbon markets had to do with the linkage between the European Union and Australia. That could produce the world's largest, or first example of a transcontinental market, and it could perhaps provide a model of things to come. I find it quite interesting that the Chinese pavilion at the Doha climate talks is linked to the European Union's pavilion, just behind this wall. I think they can hear everything we say, but maybe it's a sign of things to come. Similarly, there are a number of other markets that are in formation under the Partnership for Market Readiness at the World Bank. All of these other countries that you see on this map, from India to Brazil and Chile, Mexico, South Africa, and a number of countries in Southeast Asia, are all developing carbon markets in a collaborative process together and learning lessons from the policymakers in the European Union and from other markets like Australia and even the United States is bringing expertise into those rooms. We at IETA have found this to be an extremely heartening development, so we've pulled together our limited resources and tried to combine them with some new resources from companies in IETA that are interested in these markets. We couldn't come up with any better name for this initiative than a business partnership for market readiness, because we know how important it will be for the business community to be ready to assist in the commercial side of making markets work. So we've launched this program with the assistance of about a dozen IETA companies that you would have heard of, like Shell and BP and Chevron and Statoil. A number of electricity companies are interested in it, like Enel, equipment providers like Alstom, financiers like Morgan Stanley, and some of the boutiques that have been active in the carbon space, like Greenstream and Camco. They're all supporting this with not only an offer to help assist IETA in getting it going financially, but in also providing their expertise in country, where they have personnel on the ground in most of the jurisdictions that are active in the PMR. We're doing this because we recognize that much of the future of market development is not necessarily taking place at UN level. It's happening on the ground around the world, and IETA members know that they have a lot to offer to making those programs succeed. So we're hoping we can do a lot more of this in the future. So I want to proceed through. This is just showing you a few more places that, these are the flags coming up, apologies. The next thing I want to kind of turn to is a question about what new market mechanisms may mean for this particular evolving landscape of emissions trading programs. The goals of a new market mechanism for IETA are basically summed up in a few short points, and I'm just going to go through them really quickly. We think that it is time for a new market mechanism that can scale up investment and can provide investor confidence to come into the market in a new and dramatic way. So we hope that the new mechanism will be scaled to the need, environmental need that is out there. We know what a 2-degree target implies in terms of investment. It's something on the order of needing to stimulate $200 billion a year in extra clean energy investment on top of the amounts that are already being invested, according to the International Energy Agency. So the new mechanism needs to be able to match that kind of scale. It also needs to provide continuity from existing markets, the old markets like the CDM, and it also needs to promote fungibility. So I hope that the negotiators here are successful in achieving that kind of ambition and achieving workable solutions so that business can invest with confidence. Thank you very much.